Welcome to Tales of Hope, where every paw print counts. Anil, Matai in the house, spreading love, hear the sounds. Every week animal stories, rights and welfare in the mix. Step up, take action, we're giving animals a fix. Tales of Hope, raise your voice, make some noise. Change the game for every animal, girl and boy. One world, one fight, let's turn the page. A future for the voiceless, bring hope to center stage.
Now, you filed an amicus curiae in national and international cases. Could you share a story where legal advocacy directly transformed an animal life?
Yes, I was. Thank you for the question. I was very, very happy to participate in my first amicus in a case about horses. Yeah, speaking of horses.
Okay.
And these horses have been subject to animal cruelty in a city near Buenos Aires. And I remember I participated as amicus, but I also had the chance not only to write it and file it, but also to speak in the with the judges for the horses. And I felt very, very, I think that I was very happy to be able to tell them how important animal rights are and how they should not feel that they have to choose between human rights and animal rights, that they can do both, that they can respect the due process and the constitutional rights that the people that were under this legal process were supposed to be under this kind of protections, but still take into consideration animal rights and be aware that horses are not things. And finally, the judges, they didn't allow these horses to go back under the property of these people. So it was a win, and for these horses at least, it was a change of life.
You know, you rightly, me and my wife, we always talk about this. You know, even if we can save one animal,
yeah,
it is still a small win, that even if we can make difference in one life. So, you know, what you rightly said, that, you know, the horses were saved. I know we would love to save every being out there, but with the limited resources and with the kind of hurdles we all face, I think this is where sometimes we need to take a small pat on our backs and say, at least we saved one.
At least we saved, yeah, exactly. For the animal, for that animal, it's the whole world. So it's not a small thing. Yeah, for that animal in particular, it's not small.
Absolutely. You know, we sometimes wish they could, the way they reciprocate, even it is for us to, we can see that. But if they had a voice, I'm sure they would, thank us so much.
Yeah, completely.
Now, you created Etica Animal with 11,000 followers.
Yeah.
What role do you see digital communities playing in today's animal rights movement?
Well, I think that was a very interesting experience to me, because that was also when I started the account, I was like very naive, and I thought, well, I'm going to do an account to spread the word about animal rights to everybody, and I'm going to convince people to become vegan, or at least to consider seriously not to harm animals anymore. And then I realized that social media doesn't work like that you do not you do not reach like everybody, that on the contrary, that you have to be very specific with the audience you are speaking to, which was really very disappointing to me, because I was thinking to do something very I don't want to speak only to the people who already think like me. I want to speak to other people to tell them what's going on. But social media doesn't work like that. They are very, very specific. So you are successful as long as you know your audience and you speak to them in their language. So what I tried to do there was okay, so I feel the responsibility, because I cannot change that. I cannot speak to people who do not think like that animals are important. So since I'm only going to speak to people who already think that animals are important, what I'm going to do is like to share with them all the things I have the privilege to know, because I'm a scholar. So I'm a full-time scholar. So I'm all day reading and thinking and writing, and so maybe I have access to things that are not very known, because they are not maybe authors that are not so well known. And so I'm going to share with them different ideas, and in that way, like, I'm going to be part of the conversation, not with everybody, but at least with people who think like me, and like to contribute to that kind of discussion. And it was a very nice experience. Sometimes it was very funny, because I'm not like, I do not show my face too much in the Instagram account. So sometimes I receive comments of people telling me things, because they don't know that I know that I'm a professor or a scholar in the area, and tell me, you should read blah 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 blah, or you should like watch because they don't know that I know about that, and maybe I don't think like them. But it's funny. But I think it's I met a lot of people. It was very nice. It is a very nice thing to do.
See, I mean, social media has its pros and cons, and you get to interact with everybody. But there is another thing also, which I have also been. I mean, I was never a very social person, but given of late, I have been trying to, like what you said, is to reach out to people who think like me, and create an awareness about the animal cruelty that has been going on. And it's like trying to bring a small change, if we can. But on the other hand, my spiritual side, I was just recently listening to my master, and there was one thing, because at times you get very depressed, because the kind of cruelty every day you have to see.
Yeah.
It's very depressing as humans, and if you're spiritually connected. And then there was this session with the spiritual master, and he pointed out a very strong thing. He said, do you know, even the saints, the prophets, everybody who came down, who walked amongst humans, they did not come to change the world. They just came to bring the word of God, or the supreme creator. And people who understood it accepted it. People who did not, that is to do with their karma. So that was something that gave me a bit of there are things.
Relief.
Yes, relief. So it's like, yes, we are trying our part for people who understand, yes, but at least we know one thing, that our conscience is clean. We're trying to follow what is right. At least our living, we are incorporating all those things. And that is something, I think it is my spiritual side that keeps me more balanced, because the kind of cruelty we see, it sometimes, it can be very depressing.
Yeah, it can be very, very depressing, and you have to take care of yourself. And that thing, I think that's also something bad about social media, that we are overexposed to very violent images. And you have to be very careful, because we don't need to see them. We know what's going on. So that kind of images are
quite, you rightly said, it's just we need to safeguard ourselves in terms of the people. You rightly said, there are very certain people I follow across social media, because I know these are the people who are on the same wavelength that we're trying to achieve. So when you talk to them and you see that, it keeps your morale up. That's the only thing I see.
That's the only thing. Yeah. And also the other thing that it's good about social media is that because it has this thing that you mainly talk with people that think the same as you think, that it can reinforce the sense of community that can also help a lot with this depressing effect. So at least there are other people who think and do the same as I do, and I think that makes you feel less depressed or less alone.
You rightly use the term community. I think that is what we all need to come together even.
Yeah.
Now, with your work in AI ethics and regulation, how do you see AI shaping the future of animal protection?
Well, I think this is very new to me too. So I'm starting to navigate these waters of AI and animals or animal rights. And I'm very interested in this intersection because I'm very interested in technology in general. I'm kind of very curious person. But I have some kind of, my concern here is that, of course, the way AI is being developed for profit. And that's the way things are right now. And so people who are involved in developing AI systems will have in mind profit. And we know that profit, as you mentioned before, it's a main problem for animals, because in the end, that's why we are exploiting animals, because the taste, because our wish to enjoy the flavor of meat, but also it's big business. So I think that the problem with AI is that it potentially could worsen the situation of farm animals, because the developments right now about AI systems for farm animals are all intended to increase productivity and efficiency. And that means more animals being raised, or the possibility of putting more animals in smaller places, because they are going to have the ability to monitor animal health more efficiently. So you can have more animals in smaller spaces, which has been the trend during the last 50 years. So I think that's one concern. And the other thing is that maybe, and now there are maybe AI could also help animals by replacing animals in animal experimentation, or maybe there are also already some kind of animal robots that are supposed to replace cats and dogs. And maybe that could be an option for so many people who want to have an animal, but they are really not they really cannot give the animals what the animal needs. That's another kind of discussion, because so many people want to have dogs or cats, and they really we really don't understand animals. And we really failed dogs and cats, and we are not giving them what they need. So we have this huge stray population of dogs and cats that are suffering, but also we are having dogs in our houses, and sometimes they are living very poor lives. And I think that, or I wish for that, these kind of developments could maybe ease the situation of puppy mills and dogs being mistreated in houses. And I think that we need to explore a lot more about this. There are scholars already who are working on AI and animals, and bias in generative AI, and bias when when you are chatting with ChatGPT about animal ethics. But I think it's a very new topic, and there are many things to be aware of. But I think that also I don't think that there are so many things that we can do, because the way it's developed now, it's mainly like out of control, also of governments. So there are these companies doing this, and I don't know, the European Union passed the AI Act, and that's it. It's like we are kind of witnessing this, and yeah, let's hope it's not going to be for the worse for animals.
Well, there were a couple of things which you mentioned in your conversation. One was about the dogs that hit me hard. Why? Because I have 3 at home.
Yeah. I also had dogs. Yeah.
So I have 3 at home, and 2 of them are rescued. So, to be honest, if I tell you this, rather than me and my wife, we always say that they have rescued us rather than we rescuing them. And they've not only that, but they've also helped us evolve. And what you rightly said, sometimes pet parents don't treat them correctly. But I'm not trying to boast about it, but between me and my wife, with the kind of struggles in the last 4 years we have seen, there is one thing that we have really made sure of: we never leave them home alone.
Yeah, no, exactly. I think that you are an exception. And I also had dogs. My dog passed a few months ago, and
I'm so sorry.
She was also a rescue dog, and I think that, as you mentioned, I think that I evolved during the years with her and with the other dogs that I had, and they also died, unfortunately, and how much I also started to think about, well, there are no holidays if we are not going with her. So if she cannot go, we are not going. But that's something that at the beginning I was not doing that. We were leaving her with someone to take care of her, and then we changed our mind and decided, no, yes, this is very bad for her. She doesn't understand that we are going and we are coming back, so for her it must be shocking. But I think most people don't think about this kind of things, or not because they don't love their dogs, but also because they don't understand, and because our society is not yet prepared to deal with dog needs in terms of, I don't know, of traveling or public space. And in some countries you cannot take your dog out with you to have a coffee, and other countries you can do that, speaking about differences, and that limits you a lot. So I think there are so many things that we are still not doing properly with dog and cats, even when we love them so much. In terms of decisions about end-of-life decisions or about medical treatment, so many things that we have to take into consideration. It's a very complex relationship with animals, as it is a very complex relationship, imagine, with your other human family members. So there are so many things there that maybe sometimes I think, well, maybe these people who would like to have an animal, but they are really not prepared, or their houses are not prepared, they do not have the money to do that, or they are not emotionally available. Sometimes you can see that someone even adopt a dog or rescue a dog, and then they abandon the animal when they have a problem, or some situation is changing in their lives and they suddenly decided they don't want anymore the dog. Well, maybe for them a good option would be like an AI animal, non-sentient AI animal.
You really hit the bullseye. We never know. Is there a danger that AI and digital systems, if not ethically guided, could reinforce exploitation of animals, for instance, in industrial farming or surveillance?
Yeah, I think I think that's the most important dangers we face so far. at least as far as I know, the danger is that AI could be used to increase factory farming.
That's a very sad state,
Yeah.
How can AI be an ally? Perhaps in monitoring, preventing cruelty, or even in advocacy campaigns.
Yeah, there are so many things that there are like some projects that are using AI, for instance, to monitor possibilities of legal changes, or that are preparing chatbots to spread the word about animal rights, or that are using AI to do research, to be more efficient in research, or granting proposals, or to do social media campaigns. And of course, AI has also uses that could help animals. For instance, if you follow I Care, the organization I'm working for, we publish once every 2 weeks an AI post, an AI and animal posts, and there I choose things that are also like positive for animals. And last week I posted about India, a project in India that is helping avoiding conflicts with elephants in some communities.
Yes.
So AI helps the communities to detect the elephants before arriving in the urbanization, so they can avoid the conflicts with specifically male elephants, who are the ones who can be violent. And also there is a very, very big project, I don't know how to say it in SETI. In English it would be CITI. Communication. It's a project to try to understand the language of different species, whales and other species, and to communicate with them. And that's something good, and can be also very bad, because if we understand them, we can also exploit them better. So there are many things that, of course, you can help or you can harm with.
But I think, sorry, that's a choice we humans have. And I think, we can either use it for doing good or use it for doing evil. So, but I think if we humans can just understand, evil is not going to lead us anywhere. It's just going to create more chaos.
No.
And if we just decide, if we choose, rather not even decide, if we choose to do the right thing, I think we all can coexist so happily. The world would be a much better place.
Mm-hmm. Totally. Yeah. It's our choice.
It's our choice, yes. Now, what gives you hope when legal systems feel slow and change seems far away?
I think that having a historical perspective helps a lot. So if you think about other social movements, and even if you think about, I don't know, gender rights or racism, so we did a lot. We have like a lot of human rights conventions, and we know what's wrong about, I don't know, discriminating or killing other people. We are still doing it, but we can say that we have progress, and that these kind of things are not something that you are not going to see the success in your life probably, but you have to understand that you are part of a historical current, and that you are like only a small part of a big change, and you have to be happy about it, and be happy enough to contribute to that, and think in perspective.
Absolutely. It's something that we all need to what you rightly said, we need to look back at the history of the human cruelty, not only towards the animals, but even to our own race.
Yes.
And even to the environment, the kind of damage we've caused. It's so sad. Anyways, if you could draft one universal animal rights charter, what are the first 3 principles you would inscribe in it?
I would. It's very difficult to answer this because, as I said before, for animals, there are so many different kinds of animals. But I think that the first is the right to life of all sentient animals. So yes, the right to life, the right to freedom, to be free, and the right to physical and psychical integrity. So that would be and that would involve not only not being physically harmed, but also not being separated from their families in the case that we are thinking of animals that live together in communities, because there are also animals that live alone most of their lives because they are alone, because of that kind of species do not live in community. And I think that would be a very good starting point.
I think you mentioned the most important 3 points that we humans need to really start looking at, not only looking at, but I think we need to start implementing them,
Yeah.
Now,
and I think it's possible for many.
Yes, it is. It's not that it is not. I think, let's be honest. If humans are willing to do it, if there is a saying, I always say, if there is a will, there is a way.
Yeah.
It's just that we should have those policy makers willing to bring these changes.
Exactly.
So until and unless we don't get these players, policy makers on board to bring about the change, I think that is where we still lack a bit. Now, what role do you envision young lawyers and activists playing in carrying forward the torch of animal rights?
I hope for them to pay attention not to the big changes, but also to pay attention to local regulations. For instance, at the city level, at the region level, because there are so much room to do changes at that level, and sometimes we are very obsessed with big changes. I want a universal declaration, or I want an international convention, or I want to change the civil code of my country. But you are missing a lot of opportunities to do small changes that pave the way for bigger changes. And in this case, as in many other social movement cases, you have to go step by step, and there is a cumulative impact of all the little things that you achieve. And I think that I would like to see more about that, because you can really do a lot for animals at that level.
I think it will be a very inspiring talk for a lot of young lawyers. What you rightly mentioned. Start at the grassroots, small. Yeah. Right from your city, from your district, and then rather than trying to jump the ladder, take one step at a time. I think that
step at a time.
Yeah, that is such a wonderful, coming from somebody like you, especially, it could be really a mentoring start for a lot of people. Now, who or what has been the greatest inspiration in your journey of fighting for the animals?
I think that I have my favorite authors, who are Sue Donaldson and Will Kimlicka. They wrote Zoopolis, and I think that I really admire their work, and I think I've learned so much from them. The way they present also their ideas not only the ideas themselves, but also the way they communicate their ideas, the peace with for instance, if you listen to Kim Lika, he's so such a peaceful man, and he's like not trying to fight other people or convince them, but simply like, well, animals are like, and he's like expressing so many interesting things, and I like him very much, and I like his wife too, Sue Donaldson. I think they are the most creative scholars on animal rights right now, and they have been, I think, definitely my inspiration. And of course, at the beginning of my journey, I've read Peter Singer, Animal Liberation.
Okay.
And of course, I was an admirer, a fan of him. I do not endorse all his positions, and I think he can be very controversial. But I recognize that I was very, very influenced by his book, like many thousands of other people who read him. And then I read Practical Ethics, and I really also like his involvement in public discussions as a scholar. So I think that's very valuable that he he's involved in public discussions where other scholars maybe prefer not to, like, well, no, if it is not at the university, I'm not going to speak. And I think that's interesting.
Very interesting. Now, coming to my last question, if you could leave our listeners with one soul-shifting message about animals, law, and hope, what would it be?
Oh, I think that's something that to me is very difficult to say, but I think that it's better to do something than not to do anything. Like, if you cannot commit to being vegan, or you cannot commit to like full involvement with the animal rights cause, at least try to do your best. And I think that's the message, right? Don't take it like all or nothing. Of course, I would prefer every listening to become vegan and stop harming animals, but at least do your best. I'm sure like everybody can do something.
Absolutely. At least I also add to that. If you can't do anything, don't harm them at least.
Yeah, exactly.
If you can't do good, don't do bad to them as well. That is what
exactly.
I think.
If you can choose compassion.
Yes, absolutely. Now, coming to the last section, which I normally leave it as an open mic for the guest to talk about their favorite project, or if they have an NGO that they're associated with, or if they want to create some awareness. This is where I leave the open mic for the guest to speak their heart out.
Yeah. Oh, thank you very much. So yeah, I'm this year. I'm going to be involved in like next week. I think we're going to start to be more public about the campaign against live transport of animals in Argentina. Unfortunately, in February, the government made it possible again for us to export live animals. This was forbidden in the country for the last 50 years. So apparently there is an interest of some countries like Turkey to buy cows, I don't know if also lambs, live to slaughter them under their conditions. And so this is really very, very bad for the animals, because we know that live transportation by sea is one of the most cruel things that can happen to animals. They have really bad times there. A lot of animals die during the journey, so it's really very bad. We hope we started to talk with different organizations about this new habilitation of this live transport. There is one draft proposal to ban it again. So we are going to start a campaign about that, and I think that's going to be very challenging, because the images and everything you read about live transport of animals is really, really very bad and really very sad, and you cannot really understand how someone can even think about doing that kind of things to thousands of animals who are absolutely defenseless. So that's what I'm going to do during the next months. So
we wish you all the best for that, Silvina. And if there's
Thank
if there's any way we can contribute, please do let us know.
Thank you.
I really want to tell you, thank you so much for taking the time from the busy schedule to be with us on the show. Thank you so much, Silvina.
No, it's okay. Thank you. On the contrary, thank you. And it's a pleasure to talk to people who are also working on this. And thank you for your work. And thank you for working with dogs, who are my favorite animals, by the way.
Thank you so much.